everyone, this is Anjum. Welcome back to my channel, that is Sahitya Abhyasa Academy. Today I am going to give a class on introduction to criticism, literary criticism. What is literary criticism? What is definition of literary criticism? What are the types of literary criticism? And this is the syllabus of MA first year syllabus, paper 2, unit 1. Okay, now let's begin. What is criticism? In a general idea about criticism, create a new thing which is not created by anyone else, someone. Yes, criticism means you should create something new that is not created by someone before. Okay, that is what called criticism. For example, criticism means it's not only telling about the bad things, about the works. It also, good thing also we can see in a works of criticism. Furthermore, criticism includes everything. It has ability to make criticism on text, structure, language, style of writing. Yes, the way he analyzes the things, interpreting the things, everything it is included. It is not only focusing on the particular thing. No, it focus everything. Getting my point? Means if you talk about the style of writing, it may also the part of criticism. About using of that language, it is also part of a criticism. And the way he analyzes the thing, that is also a part of criticism. Further, for the clearance of criticism, take the example of Othello by Shakespeare. Yes, Othello by Shakespeare. As we studied this tragedy, he belongs to the Moor community. Means he looks completely black boy or a man. And also, what about the Desdemona? She is a fair. But according to this text, what we can give our criticism on this play means through the feminist point of view. Feminist point of view. However, the task comes on her Desdemona, giving the problems, coming so much false claim on her. She just kept herself silent. Getting my point? That time we can criticize on the basis of feminist point. Desdemona should speak up about herself, that she has not committed anything wrong. She doesn't have any kind of affairs with anyone. She can prove it. But instead that what she made herself, she kept herself silent. That is also we can tell, that is also we can make criticism on the feminist point. Means further clearance ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, for example, if you observe the clouds may look someone like a lion, someone looks like a tree, some may looks like any kind of a rabbit. So what kind of a perspective you have on that particular thing, particular work, that expressed through the form of work is called literary criticism. Hope so you came to know little bit. ಅಂದರೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಂಥ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಒಂದು ವಿಮರ್ಶೆ ಒಳಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತದೆ. ಇಫ್ ಯು ಪುಟ್ ಆನ್ goggle, yellow color goggle, the whole world looks like a yellow color. Getting my point? If you put on the green color goggle, the whole world looks like a green color. Yellow color means feminist point. Green color means Marxist criticism. Getting my point? Black color means textual criticism. Getting my point? So if there is any work, means we have so many ways to criticize on that particular work, through the feminist point, through the textual point, through the Marxism, through the feminist point. Many more types we can criticize on that particular work. But the thing is that whatever you are going to criticizing on that particular work, it should be acceptable to the literary world. Getting my point? ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸೈಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಅಂಶಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಇರಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ಅದು ಲಿಟ್ರರಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಬೇಕು. ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಪ್ಲೇಟೋ ಸೇಡ್, ಒನ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲೇಟೋ ಸೇಡ್ poet should ban from society. Am I right? Because they spread lies. They won't speak truth. ಸತ್ಯ ಹೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಬರೀ ಸುಳ್ಳೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಲೀಡ್ ಇನ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇವರ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು, ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟಿಗೆ ಅರಿಸ್ಟಾಟಲ್ ಪ್ರೂವ್ ಇಟ್. ನೋ, they are not made for ban from the society. Instead that they should be in a society, because creating a imagination means the works, the poems which is created by the imagination itself gives a creative power. The person who has the creation power, he can only create the thing. And also they won't write the lie things, more than it is a reflection of truth. This is how he justified the words of Plato in his work, that is poetics. Getting my points? ಪ್ಲೇಟೋ ಹೇಳಿರುವಂಥ ವಿಷಯನ ಅವ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಜಸ್ಟಿಫೈ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು, ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನೋ, ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಸಮಾಜದ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ, ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನೇಷನ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದೇ ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟಿವಿಟಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ poetry tells the truth, poetry tells the lies ಅಂತ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಪ್ಲೇಟೋ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ, he proved that no, it is the reflection of a truth. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಒಂದು ಇಮಿಟೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕಲೆ ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಅದು ಏನು ಒಂದು ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಹೋಪ್ ಸೊ ಯು ಕಮ್ ಟು ನೋ. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿ. ಲಿಟ್ರರಿ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲಿ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್, ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಗಜ್ನಿ ಮೂವಿ, ಗಜ್ನಿ ಮೂವಿ in a Telugu or a Tamil. Telugu li Gajni movie, did you observe how it is climax? What about Aamir Khan? Aamir Khan, Hindi industrial hero. He is also created a movie called Gajni. Correct? Gajni movie. In Telugu movie, the heroine is beaten by the rod. The moment was very horrible scene. If you observe that film scene, villain has hit her by the rod, and she has lost her life on that particular moment. What happens? ತೆಲುಗು ಮೂವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಟ್ ದ ಎಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀರೋ ವಿಲನ್ಗೆ ಹೊಡೆದು ಹಾಸ್ಟೆಲ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಹೊಡೆದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅವನನ್ನು ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಸಾಯಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ವೇ. ಎಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ವೇ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಮೂವಿ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದ ಮೇನ್ ಹೀರೋಯಿನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬೀನ್ ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ರಾಡ್. ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಟು ದ ವಿಲನ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ? ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ ಥಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ Aamir Khan. Getting my point? Aamir Khan, again he recreated that movie from beginning till to the end of the scene. At the end of the scene, he has changed the scene in that movie. What he does in that movie? The rod means the villain also hit by the rod by the hero, means Aamir Khan. Aamir Khan ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ವಿಲನ್ ಕೂಡ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಹೀರೋಯಿನ್ಗೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ, ರಾಡ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೊಡೆದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಅದನ್ನು ಒಂದು ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಮೂವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ರಾಡನ್ನು ಹೊಡೆದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಒಂದು ವಿಲನನ್ನು ಕೊಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅನಲೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಟರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಇನ್ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ವೇ, ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ವೇ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ conclude with his own criticism. Getting my point? This is what way of criticizing the particular work. Fine. Literary criticism means carefully reading. If something is there, if you read any work of literature, you'd find so many things. If you have the power to criticize on that things, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ತಗೊಳ್ರಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾರ್ಕ್ಸಿಸಮ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ದಿಂದ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಫೆಮಿನಿಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ದಿಂದ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ದೆನ್ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟುವಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್, ರೀಡರ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸ್, ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರಲಿಸಮ್ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್, ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಅ ನ್ಯೂ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. Yes, the person who have the ability to criticize on the thing, before he should get the knowledge about what is criticism and what are the things way to make the criticism on that particular work. Getting my point? ಒಂದು ಮೂವಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಮೂವಿನ. No, it shouldn't be like that. If it is did like this means it would be better. That is criticism. Getting my point? But the way you give the criticism, it should be acceptable. ಹೌದಲ್ಲ? ಅದು ಲಿಟ್ರರಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕ್ರಿ, ವಿತ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ನೀವು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಕಲೆಗೆ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೋಡಿರಿ, ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಈ ಹಾದಿಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗಬೇಡ, ಆ ಹಾದಿಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗು ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀರಾ. ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ನು ಕೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಹಿಂಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಸತ್ತೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. ದೆನ್ ಯು ಪ್ರೂವ್, I told him if he takes the turn in this way he would be safe. Getting my point? Andre it is only example, he would be safe ಅನ್ನೋದು. The thing you just analyze the ways to reach the destination. Getting my point? Because ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಔಟರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳೋಣ ಬೇಕಾದರೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್, ನೀವು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಪರ್ಚೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೋನ ತಗೋಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೋಸ್. ಆಮ್ ರೈಟ್? ಔಟರ್ಲಿ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ಇಫ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕೆಟ್ಟು ಹೋಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಏನಾದರೂ ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ವಾಟ್ ದ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೆಲ್ಸ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ, ಯು ವುಡಂಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್. ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಇಷ್ಟ ಈ ಒಂದು ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ ರೇಟಾ, ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೀಗಾಗಿದೆ, ಹಾಗಿದೆ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಇನ್ನೂ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಅನಲೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ, ಅನಲೈಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ವರ್ಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನು ನೀವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ದಟ್ ಏನು ಜಡ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನೀನೇನಾದರೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ನಾನು ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಅಷ್ಟು. ಮತ್ತೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಇಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಇದು ಇನ್ನೂ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೆಡ್ ಕಲರ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಒಂದು ಬಿಗ್ ಒನ್ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಅದು ಜವಾರಿ ಟೊಮೊಟೊ ಆಗಿರಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ, ದೆನ್ ಯು ಪುಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಓನ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದಟ್ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ, ಹೌ ಯು ವಾಂಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಅ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಟೊಮ್ಯಾಟೊ. Getting my point? Yes, that is what criticism. When you read a particular work, when you not feel satisfied with his work, or if you if you did any invention in that particular work, maybe from the perspective of feminist, textual, Marxism, criticism, ಇದರ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟನ್ನು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದಿರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ಟರ್ನ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ಅದನ್ನು ಬರೆಯೋದ ಮೂಲಕ ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಏನೋ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ ರೀ, ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಇನ್ನೂ ನಾನು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವೈ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ ಅ ಕಾಂಪಿಟೇಟಿವ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್, ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್, ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು read these are the topics very deeply. Once you know about the completion of this criticism, literary criticism, you will be easily understand the works coming under literary criticism. Fine. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಬ್ಯೂಸಸ್ ಇದೊಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಸ್ಟೀಫನ್ ಗಾಸನ್ ಅವರು ಬರೆದಿರೋದು. ಇವನೇನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, poets are liar, they spread the immorality, they takes to the people in a sin. Poetry, drama and prose ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಲಾಯರ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಮ್ಮಾರಿಟಿ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇದನ್ನು ಡಿಬೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರ ಮೂಲಕ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರು? ಸರ್ ಫಿಲಿಪ್ ಸಿಡ್ನಿ ಅವರು ಇನ್ ದ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಆಫ್ ಪೊಯಿಸಿ. Am I right? I think I have mentioned the word study of poesy. Okay, poesy means poetry. Means poetryನ ಅದು ಇಮ್ಮಾರ್ಲಿಟಿ ಆಯಿತು, ಅದು ರಾಂಗ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬದಲಾಗಿ ಏನ್ರಿ, ಇಟ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್ ದ ಎಸ್ಥೆಟಿಕ್ ಪ್ಲೇಜರ್. ಇಟ್ ಮೇಕ್ಸ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಟು ಲೀಡ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ಮಾರಲ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ರಿಪ್ಲೈ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಬಿಗಿನ್. ಕ್ರಿಟಿಸಿಸಮ್ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ? ರೀಡಿಂಗ್. ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್? ಕೇರ್ಫುಲಿ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಪಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಲಿಟ್ರರಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೀಟಾಗಿ ಓದುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಟು ದ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್. ಸ್ಟಡಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಪೀಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಈ ವರ್ಕ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಬರೆದಿದೆ, ವೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್, ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಯಾವ ಪೀರಿಯಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಯಾರು ಸತಿಸಾಗಮನ ಪದ್ಧತಿಯ ವಿಷಯದ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ಬರಿತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಮೈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದು ಇವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ ಏನಿದೆ ರೀ, ಲಾಂಗಿಂಗ್ನೆಸ್ ಆಯಿತು, ನೋಸ್ಟಾಲಜಿ ಆಯಿತು. ಎಸ್, ಒಂದು ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಡಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು. ವಿಮೆನ್ ಸಪ್ರೆಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ. ಈ ಟಾಪಿಕ್ ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಲಿಟ್ರೇಚರ್. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಅದು ಯಾವ ಮೂಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ, ಇದರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು, ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ it was written and how it was written, in which condition, whether poet in a grief mode or poet in a happy mode, or a kind of a society facing something kind of a great tragedy. Yes, a great evil, it is attacked ಆನ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ರೋಗ ಆಯಿತು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಅಚಾನಕ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಭೂಕಂಪ, ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್, ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾದರೂ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಗುವಂಥ ಮೂಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್, ಇದರ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ ಆ ವರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ, ಬರೆದಿರುವಂಥ ರೈಟರ್ನ ವರ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ದಿಸ್, ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ವರ್ಕ್, ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಯು ಗಾಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಹೌದಲ್ಲ? ಎಸ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಮೂವಿ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತದ್ರಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ವೆದರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಡ್ಯೂಯೆಟ್ ಸಾಂಗ್, ವೆದರ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಬಾಯ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಟು ಎ ಗರ್ಲ್, you start to imagine yourself. That's called affect. If a boy hits a gunda, as the villains, the boy himself feels, he himself take him to in the imagination world, he is also want to fight with someone. Yes, ಆ ಒಂದು ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ಸಮ್ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಒಂದು ಮೂವಿ ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀರ, ಅವಳು ಇನ್ನೂ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಟು ಕ್ರೈ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ರೈ. That kind of effects means after reading the piece of literature, how much you got affected by that work. That should also part of a literary criticism. Okay, then literary criticism is the study, analysis and interpretation and evaluation of literary works. Literary works, Henry, it is a study, it is a proper study. Analysis mean breaking down elements like a plot, character and symbols. If you read any work, take the example of King Lear. We can see two plots, King Lear plot and Gloucester, King of Gloucester's one part. This is what the plot. Yes, what are the characters can be seen in the first plot, and here what are the character. Means each work will give sometimes 1, 2, 3 kind of a plot. Plot means story. ಎಸ್, ಸ್ಟೋರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ಲಾಟ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಗಿವ್ಸ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಅನಲೈಸಸ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್ಸ್, ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್. ಎಸ್, ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್, ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ವರ್ಕ್. What kind of language he has utilized in the work, that is also. And the meaning, what kind of a this story gives the meaning. ಅದಲ್ಲ, ಮುಂಗಾರು ಮಳೆ ಮೂವಿ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಪ್ರೀತಿ ಮಧುರ ತ್ಯಾಗ ಅಮರ. ಓಕೆನಾ, that is interpretation. At the end of the work, what are the themes, what are the meanings you can select it from or identify in that particular work. ಓಕೆನಾ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಂಶಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಗೆ ಮುಂದುವರೆದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ, ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಥೀಮ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್, ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಎಸ್, ವೆದರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನೋಬೆಲ್, ವೆದರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೀಕ್, ವೆದರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್, ವೆದರ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಬ್ಲ್ಯಾಕ್, whether they are fair. If the black means we can see the how the white people are showing their dominance on black people. If the female fair idale, female she kept herself very silent like Desdemona, ali kudanu feminist point out kan bartade. Okay na, fine. Language, what kind of language the writer has used in his work and over and other elements to understand its meaning. Other elements, among this we can see so many ways to understand the particular text. And significance, its significance, literary criticism significance, overall a merit, overall one particular work's merit. It can also involve applying different theoretical frameworks to analyze the text. ಹೌದಾನೆ, ಒಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, if there is any work, put on the goggle of yellow color, Marxism, just wear black color goggle, means through the perspective of textual criticism, whether the work gives the framework of textual criticism, feminist criticism, Marxism, reader response theory, what are the kind of a technical we can identify through that particular work. KGF ಮೂವಿ ಇದೆ ಹೌದಾ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವೇನು ಕಾಣ್ತೀವಿ, ಲವ್, ಪಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸ್, ಬಿಟ್ರೇಡ್ನೆಸ್, ಹೌದಾ, ರೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಪವರ್. Getting my point? If you see through the love perspective in that movie, yes, and if you see through the political perspective in that movie, you will get all kinds of a analytical themes, story in that movie. Getting my point? Hope so. Almost artha agide ansuttene. Placing the work in a historical, cultural and philosophical context. Placing andre ಒಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಬರೆಯಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಹಿಸ್ಟೋರಿಕಲಿ ಆಗಿ, ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಬೈ ಹಿಸ್ಟೋರಿಕಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ವರ್ಕ್. And cultural, what kind of a cultural it reflects. Philosophical, what are the philosophical ideas it gives. These are the ways where we criticize on particular work. Okay, now this is the method of criticism. Then etymologically, the word criticism means basically originally originated from the Greek. Then what would be in a Latin origination, and the French and the English. Let's see step by step. Greek means kritikos, meaning able to judge or a discern, able to judge on a particular work. You should have that ability now. Yes, everyone have their own perspective on the particular work, on that particular film, on that particular observation in the society. Yes, if someone asks one question, you may get many type of answers. Everyone's have different way to answer that particular question. Everyone have their different ways, that is everyone have a kind of a judgment thing, and the meaning is that able to judge or a discern, and meaning to separate, judge or a decide. Fine. What about the Latin term? It is a judge or a critic. That is the only giving the judgment on that particular work. No, it is not like that. It is like that. This is what way of judging a thing, with proper analysis, proper interpretation, proper giving, proper contextualization. And next, what about the word French? It is critique. The meaning is discussion or evaluation. Critics means discussion or evaluation. To find out the something new which is not evaluated by before. Create something new no one has created before. Yes, that is what called critic, or make any discussion adru agtade. Like an English criticism formed by adding ism. What does in English literature, in English land, they add the plus zam, that is criticism, meaning act of judging literary or a artistic work. Whoever have written the work on that work shows the judging act of judging on that literary work is literary criticism. Okay now, so this is about what literary criticism introduction. Hope so you have got it. Let's begin about the definitions of literary criticism by famous writers. First, what is from Aristotle about criticism? What he says, criticism is a means of understanding the nature of literary art. Means he believed that literature should be analyzed by its structure, especially plot and a purpose. Very nice. Means of understanding the nature of literary art means what kind of way it is structured. Yes, what are the main story can be seen in this work, that's whether the story affects to the readers, that is what called criticism. So he utilized the word catharsis. Catharsis, purification. Purification. Purification means when you hold your breath by seeing some scene in a movie, whether they met or not, whether they depart or reunite. After knowing the final scene of that movie, finally they reunited, means you feel very, you feel very relaxed. DDLJ movie, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. What happens in that scene at the end of the movie? Shah Rukh Khan is awaiting Kajal to grab his hand to take her with him to his home. What happens? His father holds his hand. Kajal says, "No, I want to go with Shah Rukh Khan. Please let me, Baba. Let me to reunite with Shah Rukh Khan." So finally, that moment, what we think ourselves, we are the viewers, spectators. We hold tightly our breath, whether that father leaving that lady or not. We ourselves getting so much confusion. If you see that first time that movie, after leaving the hand of that heroine by the father, and finally they're reunited, means what do you feel? You feel very relaxed. That is what called purification. Yes, means purification andre shuddhikarisu. Purification your feelings, emotion. That is what catharsis. So if a work is written, it should affect on readers, means that is criticism according to Aristotle. Sorry for that. Okay, then what about John Dryden? Criticism is the foundation of all good writing. Yes, but it is the judgment of a writer's work with a reason and a taste. Yes, criticism means it is a foundation of all good working. Take whatever the work, whichever the work you want, because it is coming under good writing. But the criticism means how you judge writer's work with a reason and a taste, by giving the proper reason and show your taste. No, it is not like that. It should be like that. Huh? If you taste the any one of days, someone will ask you, will you taste this dish? Just tell me. That time you give that answer. That time you make your judgment on that. Put on some salt on there. Put some salt, little more. Somewhat. The way you give the answer is, that is what called the judgment of writer's work on the basis of reason and taste. We can see this source from Essay of Dramatic Poesy. This is also part of literary criticism. Means here he emphasizes that reason and artistic taste in criticism must be. Reason and artistic taste must be in criticism. And it is not about the personal opinion, but the educated judgment. Yes, just I gave the example of dishes. No, this is not a way. But the way I give the example, how you judge about the dish by tasting that particular dish. That is what called, not a, I'm only giving that example, but it should be according to educated judgment. Means proper analytical way, proper interpretation way, proper judging way. That is what called according to whom literary criticism. What about Matthew Arnold? Criticism is disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and thought in the world. Taken from this function of criticism at the present time. What he say? Criticism as a impartial, unbiased. Is unbiased. Means an intellectual helping society find a preserve great ideas. Means here unbiased means fair, not influenced by the personal feelings. Criticism means as impartial. Impartial. ಪಾರ್ಶಿಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು. Means the person who is belong to our community, we allow him, we give the first priority to them. The person who is not belong to our community means we won't, give importance to that person. This is what called partiality. But here he mentioned that impartial, from the favor of one side. From the favor of one side, we should not criticize on that particular work. Keep aside your favorness and read the text and give the own views on that particular work. The writer is my nephew. The writer is my brother. I can give this kind of a criticism on his book. No, keep it aside. What your brother has written in that work, read it, analyze it, proper do it interpretation way, and finally give your judgment. And finally give your evaluation. That is what called criticism. Fine. Next, T.S. Eliot, purpose of criticism is the education of a works of art and correction of taste. Very nice. Source is taken from tradition and individual talent. One of famous essay is. For Eliot, criticism explains how art functions and helps improve readers' ability to judge literary quality. Yes, he says how the art functions. If I write any work which makes influence on the writers, means that is what you have as such a great skill to effects on readers and helps to improve readers' ability. And that kind of a effective kind of a writing makes help to the reader to give their own ability to judge the literary work. When any movie affects you, means you will give a proper judgment. When there is no effect, means you won't give any kind of a judgment on that particular movie. Like that, if the work affects you, the return comes the reader's ability on that work. Ability means judgment power. It will comes by effective kind of a work. That is what called literary criticism. Okay, now next, T.S. Eliot over. What about the I.A. Richards? Criticism is the study of literature as a form of communication. So it is one of the study of a literature. The literary works is called study of a literature works as a form of communication. If someone says something, I can reply on that thing, on that something. That is what called communication. What the Stephen Gosson has written his School of Abusers book, we can see the reply of Sir Philip Sidney's The Study of Poesy. I think the name I mentioned is, I think I'm correct. Though also I just evaluated in my next class. I just corrected this work in my next class. Okay. So here, what the Plato gives the words on poet, Aristotle replies in a poetics. So we can see the communication of the works. That is criticism. I.A. Richardson. I.A. Richards gives his definition on criticism. What about the next? Clinic Brooks. The formalist critic is concerned primarily with the work of itself. The formalist critique is concerned primarily with the work itself. Means Brooks supported close reading analyzing structure, paradox, irony, and symbols inside the text and not outside sources like the author's life. Very nice. He says that if writer wrote any work, concentrate on this work, not his life. If you read William Wordsworth poems, give the complete concentration of works, not his biography. Yes, that is not a way of criticizing a work. Okay. Next. Okay, last one. Shall see. Northrop Frye. Criticism is the science of literary structure. It is a proper. We should follow the proper steps, proper analytical way, proper interpretation of the text, proper style of the contextualization of the text. That is what called science of literary structure. How? Fry saw criticism as a systematic study. Yes, that's only I told you, like science, aiming to the classify literature into patterns like a tragedy, comedy, romance. If the one's work is written, whether it is a tragedy, focus on tragedy. What are the plot it is include? What kind of a language it has been used? What are the themes can be appeared in this work? If it is a comedy, find out what kind of a comedy we can see in this work. Yes, whether it affects on the readers, what kind of a language it is used, what are the character has been represented in this work. Being a noble, but his tragedy in a, being a common man, but makes comedy in a noble people. So this is how we analyze the text. Okay, so and this is about the definitions of literary criticism. And the last topic of this class, purpose of literary criticism. What is that? To explain and evaluate literature. Why we do the literary criticism? There must be any motto, no? The motto is that to explain and evaluate literature. If something is written in a world called literature, works, how it is, what are the things it is included, we have that ability to evaluate that literature works. There must be difference from literary criticism and literature works. Literary criticism is got born from the literary works. By this only it is appeared in the literary world. Fine. And to explore the aesthetic, in what way we observe the aesthetic way and moral, cultural and psychological value of work. As once we read any work, we can justify the work in our own way. That gives the kind of a aesthetic satisfaction to the reader, to the writer, especially to the critic. And a moral view also. We can see the moral view. So whatever the things written in a literature, the reply must be in a moral way, very authentic way, accurate way. That is what criticism. We don't have right to blame any work. That is not a coming under the part of literary criticism. Yes, and psychological value of that work. What the condition has been seen in the characters. That is what called value of a work. And this is what the purpose, and to place a work in a historical and psychological context. Yes, to place a work in a historical and psychological context. What are the works reflect the historical views, historical points, and which are the works reflect the psychological context. There we need to make the differentiate. Fine. To help readers understand the deeper meaning and appreciate the text more fully. So here it helps the work. Means criticism helps to the reader to understand the deeper meaning of particular text, work, and let him to appreciate the text in his own way, in a positive way or in a suggestive way or in a judgmental way or in an analytical way. So that is fully means literature, literary criticism makes person in a exact way, in a perfect way. So this is what called purpose of literary criticism. In my next class I explain about the types of criticism. So here I am going to stop my class. because it may take lengthy one. So shall meet in a next video. Okay, take care. Bye bye.